lot of people kind of call us and they ask about what we think is going to happen next, right? And we don't have a crystal ball. We don't have the magic 8 ball that kind of knows exactly what's going on. But I think we all could agree that, life is going to be a little bit different here going forward from lessons that we've learned now. So has this health scare really changed, health scare plus maybe the market, and has it changed any of our outlooks on retirement, whether it be for retirees or pre-retirees? And do we think their attitudes and behaviors will change? I'm going to ask Wes that question first in terms of do you kind of projecting forward, what's the thought
there? I've actually been trying to give a lot of thought and reading a bunch of articles about how the virus may, or the end of the virus may manifest itself in consumer behavior and other things, and as it relates specifically to retirees. I think I could see, and I'm just projecting, it's just an opinion, people becoming slightly more prone to thrift, people not spending as much, perhaps saving more, which on one end you say, hey, great, that's, the more you save, the better, from a retirement planning standpoint. But for the economy to really keep moving, we need people to be spending. We need to be an economy that's pouring money through the system. But I think you could see some of that. I think the other area that comes to mind is travel. A lot of retirees, and I know, Ben, on the podcast, you've had, a travel agent and talked a lot about travel. I'm interested to see how quickly, and I don't just mean in the immediate aftermath over the next few months. Obviously, I think travel will be subdued to a huge extent. But I'm wondering if there might actually be more permanent changes as a result of this, where people perhaps don't travel as far or feel a little more anxiety or nervous about that. Or similar to what Larry was saying, people, because they're getting together and spending time with their families now and realizing how important that is, say maybe we'll spend more time doing that as opposed to going to far-flung places or doing the Disney trip. I don't know. Like you said, there is no crystal ball, but I do believe that this will have some lasting changes to behavioral or consumer spending behavior. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be yet, but those would be two areas I would think might be affected.
Yeah, and I'd echo too. I think there's a lot of reasons for why not to do stuff, as you said, like travel, right? Is to kind of it's easy to kind of go. I always wanted to go to Spain. I always wanted to go do that dream vacation, and it's just this sort of thing, which is very present and very in your face a lot, is I think a big barrier for someone to overcome. Well, why would I go take that trip that I always wanted to do and look forward to my whole life? So I think there's a level of fear to overcome that may take a while, whether it be, so it's not just maybe financial fear, which is something we overcome with our clients a lot, is can I afford it? How does this impact me? But now also the kind of the logistical fear of what does it mean? And what if I get sick? What if I'm trapped? Curtis's friend there went to Thailand and he went for 3 weeks. He left, everything was fine. He came back and he's in the middle of trying to get back into a country in essentially lockdown, right? That's a pretty big fear of if you're in retirement and you took a longer vacation than you ever thought, everything was fine when you left, and when you came back, it was not. So I think those are things that are challenges. Chris, any thoughts on your side in terms of what you may see for reverb for retirees or pre-retirees here?
I don't know. Like Wes, I've been trying to give it a lot of thought as to, will things become permanently changed? And, the group activities, the knee-jerk response or thinking might be, okay, cruise ships. Who's going to go on a cruise ship? Yet, Carnival Cruise just raised a whole bunch of money in the high-yield market, and so clearly the investment community thinks that there's still going to be cruise ships post-coronavirus. Movie theaters going to be a place that people go back to? I think that we have to remember that we're going to go back to a somewhat normal state, and we're not talking about the immediate, next 12 to 18 months, but 2 years from now, 3 years from now. So it's hard, as you said, Ben, when you're in the midst of it, to even think that far out and say, What's life going to be like? Is it going to go back to normal? You could apply that even to office space. People have brought up the topic of, are we going to need offices? Because everyone's going to get comfortable with doing these Zoom, conferences. I think it'll be hard to have that be a permanent change. Maybe something on the edge. And I think Wes's point is right, though. This is a reminder to every retiree that you don't know what might happen in terms of an event that can have an impact on your retirement savings. So being more prudent in spending going forward is probably always a better thing, or at least having a good handle on it. And to AJ's point, putting the right expected return profile on your savings accounts so that you know your savings, so that you know what you can spend in retirement. So that's what I would say.
Okay. I'm going to let Abby wrap that up too. Is any thoughts there from the planning end, and again, maybe in an attitude or behaviors part here, and maybe even specifically going to pre-retirees here. Is there anything that you kind of see there that they might think change the outlook?
So a lot of Maine is small businesses, right, which have basically been decimated, and we're a major tourist economy. So all of that is pretty much gone at the moment. So any pre-retirees that own those types of businesses, their retirement plan now is totally thrown off the rails. So I think trying to find a way to help their small businesses rebuild so that Maine's economy itself can rebuild so they can have jobs to even save for retirement. And what that all looks like will be greatly affected by, the health care system going forward, and how communities react and support small businesses going forward. And I think that's a big piece of it. And how do we come out of this and help people plan for these huge uncertainties? I mean, what small business owner would have known that, a month into, we know a business in Portland, they just bought a yarn shop, and 1 month or 1 week after they bought it, they're shut down indefinitely. And how do you plan for that? So I think that's going to be a challenge for us as financial planners going forward. Is these are things that we may have never seen before, but who knows, this could not be the last time we have these shutdowns due to viruses. So I don't really have a great answer, but I do think things are going to have to change, and plans are going to have to change, and maybe people are having more in cash than they had before, or maybe they're taking less risk or more risk. I don't really know. It's all kind of fluid at the moment, but I do think things are going to change.
Yeah, and I think maybe coaching is part of this too. Is just kind of is talking about, well, what are bad scenarios and good scenarios, and these are just a lot more conversations to be having of helping people through that, so they're thinking logically about it and not maybe having emotional reactions as they're kind of going through it as in the moment. Because sometimes maybe not zooming out, you're not making the best decision at the time.